Hannah's child here, builder of the terminal. And the terminal is that place where the family of man, building that family of man ends, and the beginning of building the family of plural gods, which takes us back to the beginning of creation. Now, Little Bird will be with me through all of these stories, through all of these videos. And the pen, there's only one pen, it's the human pen. It's written on cave walls, animal skins, paper, papyrus, the web world, and the tongue. And so this is all our story. And we're talking in the languages of, or the language, well, languages and the meanings of the original words, numbers, and letters of the 3,000-year-old manuscripts from which King James was translated. Now, at the end of every one of my videos, there will be credits, and I will give you the King James words that were used. I will not do that within the story frame. But in this, I want to introduce you first to Little Bird, who was present at the birthing of the human kingdom, the mastership kingdom, the kingdom destined to master self, not other. We do not know what kind of bird this was. We just know it was a little bird that was there to help that new master kingdom that was birthed. But so I've chosen owl. And the reason I've chosen owl is the word owl was translated into the word cup, the cup of Pharaoh. And it was the cup of Pharaoh, the great house and land, that poured out the mastership Egypt. And it was out of the mastership of Egypt that came all the kingdoms of the world, and the last one was the mastership kingdom, the human kingdom. So you will see Little Bird and the pen that writes in every one of my videos. But I want to introduce you to some of the other symbologies. First, this is the mastership. This is Egypt. This is what is the lofty self-entity floating in the great house and land, that which is beyond us. I may have to use my notes so that I don't forget what I want to tell you. The owl is a very interesting bird, and it's a very interesting word in scripture, and you'll find many videos about that because it is it's a key element beyond where I'm using her today. There is a symbolic bird used. The word means dusky, and the symbology that is used is the raven. We don't see the raven in the first chapter of the waters of creation, but nonetheless, dusky was there. There were 6 seasons of heat, and dusky was there, dusk to dawn, because it was coming out of the dark void silence that the waters of creation began. Dusky was present and observed the first female word. Female is non-gender. It simply means something is open, generative, growing, changing, some sort of activity. And that word was ice, a mass of ice. The word wasn't ice, it was a mass of water. And that would be ice because it was dark and there was no heat yet. Dusky was also there to observe that first Egyptian Gomer. Egyptian Gomer is 3 things put together that make a form. Something is recalled, remembered from the past, and created into a form, and that form was water, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. Dusky was there observing when the plural gods were resting in the first expanse of a hothouse. And it was there that Dusky first observed the life-giving rib of light coming, the life-giving rib of light that would destroy the night season. And that rib of light is the life giver, because light is always the life giver. Now it's translated as Eve, and that's okay because that points us to many things, like the mitochondria DNA that's 170,000 years old. is the life giver. Dusky was there when the hot house became the expansion of the hot house. And now the master ship is emerging out of the dark waters. It's the black highland, the black soil of the master ship is beginning to be seen. And Dusky is sent out several times and finally does not return because the dusky season was over. Now we have light. The companion in that expansion of the hot house, where the black earth of the master ship is emerging, was the warmth of mating. Now that word is represented by a dove. And so the master ship is merging out of the dark waters, and light is coming. Dusky's going out and back and out and back. The warmth of mating is sent out. Does the master ship have enough warmth in itself to burst the seeds that have come from the waters of creation? And is there enough warmth out there to sustain that life if it does spring forth? And when the dusky went away, then there was enough warmth of mating for that to occur. Now, it returns again in a while, because if the sunlight had continued to continue to dry up the waters, it would have went back to dust again. And so we had the veil come down. The veil in two parts came down. That was the splitting of the veil. That's another whole story. The important thing to know is that Dusky, the raven, is a strong symbology throughout Scripture, and we find her all the way back in Hated, which was translated Job, because that's the same story of creation. One of the important symbols is vulture. The Egyptian vulture. And while we have assigned a tiny little piece of terra firma as Egypt, the fact of the matter is the ancient scrolls tell us that this is Egypt. This is heaven and earth. This is Nut and Geb. This is, how many ways have we described it in our different languages? Nonetheless, that little piece of land that we call Egypt has many temples and many writings that we're just beginning to understand. And one of the most prevalent symbologies is the vulture. The vulture appears on almost all the doorways. When a door opens, it makes a window so that something can pass through. Vulture is key. Now, we much prefer to think of the eagle and the hawk and all of those powerful birds that can catch the prey. But it's the vulture, our elder, that has the real lesson for us. Because the vulture kills nothing. The vulture only eats dead stuff and transmutes it into life. The vulture's feces are clean. Not so the human kingdom that kills each other to sustain its own life, and in the process loses its life. Vulture is, the vulture babies are birthed on the ground and must learn to fly. We are the last kingdom birthed, the human kingdom. The master ship is the youngest kid. We're birthed unto the dry desert, and we need to learn to fly like the vulture, soar, be able to lift our wings above the central. It's the only bird that can do that. And to let the breath of life lift us up so that we can transmute all of the death that we've been consuming, all the death that's been spoon-fed to us, and all the death that we've willingly partaken of, and all the death that we've spread with this water cove and with the pen. Vulture has much to teach us. Everything is our elder. Absolutely everything is our elder. We are totally dependent upon our elders. The human child does not survive on its own, ever. It cannot survive. And we cannot survive without the stories and the teachings of our elders. And when we have ears to hear the good report, which is what the plural God said in the beginning of time, everything is good and very good. When that becomes our confession, then we are beginning to transmute all of the old stuff in us into life. Well, I hope you enjoy these stories. Like I said, Little Bird will be with me on every one of them because she's been present from the beginning, present at the pregnancy, present at the birthing, and present through all our growth processes throughout life. And we're still growing. So see you next time. Bye.